More and more people wanting to lose a few pounds are becoming obsessed with so-called clean eating regimes. Many dieters are using social media to showcase their new lifestyles. But could the fad be causing more harm than good? Tom Platt has been finding out.
Whether it's gluten-free or sugar-free, raw food or alkaline, we've never been so obsessed with eating clean. It's the trend with an emphasis on the natural. But with any fad around food can come an obsession. Carrie Armstrong was recovering from a life-changing illness. She developed such a fixation with eating healthily, she became unhealthy.
I went from eating everything to the end of it, not just eating raw food, not just eating fruit, but eating only organic melon. And I'm 5'9", I'm a big girl, I'm a curvy girl. I was 6.5 stone by that point, and I knew that something was dreadfully wrong.
Experts are calling her condition orthorexia, with sufferers spending hours a day obsessing about food. It's only made worse by the trend's prevalence on social media. #clean eating has over 17 million posts on Instagram.
What would you have?
Me, I'd probably stick to the salads or the eggs, obviously without...
Thousands are using the app to share the clean eating lifestyle.
It inspires people to do something, to kickstart something. They go, oh wow, I saw that cook last night, let's go to the butcher and get something, or let's try this tonight. So it's a great inspiration tool.
Some people could use it to fuel negative behaviour, but I like to think that what I'm doing is going to help support more positive behaviour, and I do post my non-clean eating meals, I do post me not being perfect, and that is in a conscious effort to show people that it's okay not to be perfect.
The UK's become less healthy as a nation, and so a move towards unprocessed food has been welcomed. It's when clean eating recipes are taken as if they're medical advice that experts worry.
There's nothing really about them that has any depth to them, any gravitas, any ethos at all, apart from just rules, and they're also pretty joyless. And I think one of the things we forget about eating well is that it's supposed to be joyful and interesting and fun.
But the pleasure for clean eaters goes beyond food. While critics say it can mask disordered eating, they argue it's all about the lifestyle and the community. Ultimately, it's all about balance, as much in people's attitudes as on their plates. Tom Platt, Sky News.
Let's get more now on this. Laura de la Harpe is a nutritional therapist and joins me live from Reading this afternoon. Of course, the start of a new year, a key time for people to start a new healthy eating regime, of course. First of all, let's get your views on this clean eating plan. What do you think of it?
Yes, I mean, I actually do support clean eating, but I think it's really got to be very balanced. And it's got to be, you know, a mix of protein, carbohydrates and fat still within the diet, and as wide a variety of foods as possible within that, so that people aren't narrowing themselves to just melon, you know, during the day.
Yeah, clearly that's not going to be good for anybody, is it? But do you think clean eating is part of a lifestyle choice? Should it be that, how we should change how we eat, or just part of a plan, sort of a detox almost?
Well, I think for a lot of people to experience 30 days of eating clean, particularly January, when it's the time when people are more open to trying something new, I think it's a great idea. And then I think at the end of that 30 days, they can then decide whether that's something they want to continue with, or whether they start to reintroduce some of those foods that they might have cut out, such as dairy and wheat, and see how their bodies react to those. And if they find their bodies don't have any reaction and they eat them very well, then they should put those back in. For some people, it might be an opportunity to find out that maybe they've got a food intolerance or a food allergy, that perhaps they didn't realise that those foods were causing them discomfort or symptoms.
This kind of diet is really, really hard though, isn't it? And I would guess more than a little boring.
I think you have to work hard at it, and I think if you follow a structured plan that's got lots of recipes and you actually do all the recipes rather than eating the same thing every day, then I think it can be really interesting. But you know, when I see people, they're often eating the same breakfast, lunch and dinner anyway, and very few people make the effort to put variety into their diets already. So sometimes a new plan will give people a bit of an interest in food, so they will try some new recipes. But I do agree with you in terms of daily life, it is more effort to eat everything from scratch, to cook everything yourself versus, you know, partly processed foods.
Are there any kind of downsides to this kind of diet?
I don't think there's any downsides if you follow it correctly. I think the downside is where people perhaps maybe read half of a book, or maybe just, you know, hear something or look at a few pictures and then follow it. I think people have to, read a book or prepare themselves before they start. And then I think there's also those people that may be on medication that ought to talk to their GP before they make any drastic changes to their diet.
As a nutritionist, what kind of diet do you follow? Is there one thing that you rule out, such as carbs, which many people do, or gluten? What do you eat or not eat?
I tend to follow a fairly clean diet, 6 days a week, and on the 7th day I have what I would call a cheat day or a treat day, so then I would eat anything I liked. But my meals I would have 3 meals a day, which is a base of protein, carbs. So by that I mean vegetables and fruit, and normally a little bit of rye or Ivita. I personally don't find wheat agrees with me, but the rest of my family eat wheat, so it's not something that we do strictly together. And I find that gives me a lot of energy, helps me sleep, and just helps my skin as well. So for me, it feels better to follow that.
In the West, we do seem to have become obsessed with diets, don't we? The latest fad diet. Well, this way you'll lose, however many pounds a week. This one you'll lose even more. We are obsessed with it. We all want a quick fix, don't we? And yet I guess the old adage always still applies. A little of what you fancy doesn't actually do you that much harm, does it? It's just everything in moderation. We don't seem to get that message, do we?
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I think we're into instant gratification, aren't we? So we're looking for things that are quick fix that we can fit into a dress in a week, and that's just not realistic. When I help people with weight loss, it's not because it's just not realistic. So I expect people to lose about 1 kilo a week if they're following a fairly strict plan, and I think that's good for their health and good for their body, because you want to shrink at the same speed. You want your skin to shrink with you. You don't want all that excess skin if you lose weight too quickly. And I think people just look at half a plan or say a quarter of a plan. The Atkins is a great example where people followed the first 2 weeks and thought they were supposed to do all the way through. In fact, there were another 3 phases that they completely ignored.
Yeah, well, we all want that quick fix. Half a stone in a week would be good, wouldn't it? Not possible, really.
Absolutely.
Laura De La Harpe, thanks very much for your thoughts today. Thank you.